So I think there's a huge lesson, especially for men, following Will Smith's actions at the Oscars. Will's apology was his duty, and he is a public figure, so it was the right choice for him to make. I don't believe that he deserves credit, though, for simply doing his duty. I do think, however, that he needs to do more than a written public apology. He acted out of pride and from a place of privilege, and I think that was an abuse of his power. I think it would be wise of him to release a public video with an apology, an explanation of how and where he failed, and how he could do better about managing his instincts and behavior. It can be a teaching moment not just for himself, but for those who hold him in high esteem and may benefit from understanding how to grow from these types of experiences. Celebrities hold an expressed level of power that normal people do not benefit from. Anyone without fame who walked on stage would have been immediately tackled by security. Okay? But after the physical attack, forget it. Any person without fame would have been immediately tackled to the ground with no option to simply turn around and walk proudly, mind you, back to their seat as though what they did was somehow heroic. That, my friends, is privilege. The look on his face as he walked away was one of pride and absolutely reeked of privilege. He had no immediate concern for repercussions. None. Privilege does not get much more blatant than that. That being said, I'd like to take a step back and look at Will Smith, the man, and consider his overall reputation, behavior, and position in society as an otherwise upstanding member. Will's good deeds are not even all well known. He has done so much for the underprivileged, weighing in on social justice, freedom, and created opportunities for countless people. He's used his power for good, and this is a part of his legacy as well. This assault represents only one aspect of his reputation and was absolutely uncharacteristic of his character as we know it. So much so that people were actually discussing whether or not it was even staged. The reason? No one would have believed it if you claimed it would happen before it actually did. So, what happened? It's not hidden that Will Smith and Chris Rock have had a bit of a rocky history in more recent years, again, over the use of words. But I'm going to address his behavior in terms of something most men grapple with and can be the elephant in the room on many awkward occasions: pride. Consider this scenario. A 14-year-old boy comes home from school, and as soon as he walks in the door, he sees his mother and hangs his head, turning his face to one side a little bit. She asks, "What's wrong?" And he mutters, "Nothing," in an attempt to circumvent her and run upstairs. She confronts him and grabs his arm, immediately noticing a black eye and swelling around one side of his face. She looks him squarely in the face and says, "What happened?" After a long pause, he says, "Some kid at school called you fat and I wasn't going to let him get away with it. It was his fault and he got what was coming to him." This is the first time he would look at his mother that day, but this time he had a look of confidence on his face. His mother studies his face, recognizing what was really going on. She takes a breath and she calmly responds by saying, "Do you think mommy is fat?" He says, "No." Then she asks, "Has he ever seen me or maybe met me? Is this one of your friends who's been to the house?" He responds, "No." After a short pause, she responds, "If mommy isn't fat and he has never seen me, he wouldn't know what I look like in the first place. You didn't get into a fight to protect me. You got into a fight out of pride over a baseless name-calling incident. That was very selfish and irresponsible of you. You think before you act next time. No PlayStation for 2 weeks, starting today. And you're not going to hang out after school either. You come straight home right after class. You hear me? The boy hangs his head with a look of defeat and says nothing. Do you understand me? She says more sternly. Yes, Mom. This time he looks away. Now go upstairs, disconnect your PlayStation, and bring it to me, right now. He slowly makes his way up the stairs as she repeats, now, and hurry up about it. Recognize that mom vibe? Yeah, I got a lot of that. Anyway, I think most men can identify with the young boy in this story because our pride does not just go away with age and maturity. We simply learn to harness it like the animal that it is until or unless we deem it necessary to let it out of the cage. What Will Smith did was a direct response to the beckoning of that prideful animal restrained in a cage. He chose to let it out with no regard for consequences. His pride got the best of him. No one really knows how sincere his apology to Chris Rock, the Academy, and his colleagues really was, but I'm willing to take him at his word. I also think that with time and the relatively inconsequential repercussions that will likely ensue, he will come to realize that his weakness was on full display that evening. He will likely come to fully understand that not only was he not his best self that evening, but that he fell victim to the voice of the young boy all men still have inside of us. The young boy isn't good or bad. There's no morality involved in his existence. The issue of morality arises in the conscious choice to open the cage and lead the animal out for a fight. The reason? False pretenses. He committed an act of violence while masking his own pride as valor. Think about that. There are a number of times in which physical altercations can be unavoidable. This, however, was not one of them. He really could have just released a statement about how she was adversely impacted and how Chris's joke, though free game for comedy, was insensitive to level at her while she struggles with the medical condition of alopecia. I think that would have had a much more impactful effect on Chris. Most men can relate to the story of the young boy in some way. So in the end, I'll also suggest that though our judgments about this issue are still keen, that we also consider that Will Smith is one of us. He's still a good man. He simply made a mistake. One that many of us have committed ourselves, a prideful act. My hope is that more people will not simply isolate Will's act of pride, but rather view this event through the lens of human nature, considering that we've all fallen victim to pride at one time or another. I think it will lead us to not only better understand what happened that night, but also consider that there is room for grace, compassion, and even reconciliation. If you found this video to be thought-provoking, give it a thumbs up. Maybe leave your comments below as well. I am interested in your opinions. I'd like to know what you think. Also, feel free to check out any of my other videos on the channel. I interview people, just normal people in public places, and I ask them intimate questions about their lives. I never have any idea how they'll respond, but the interviews are truly impactful. Sometimes there are tears and sometimes there's laughter, but it is a lot of fun, and I've come to realize that so many people have amazing stories that are really worth hearing. Consider supporting the channel by clicking the link in the description below where you can shop at my online apparel store, stylylifedesigns.com. You'll find t-shirts, hats, and hoodies with positive and uplifting themes to complement your lifestyle. When you shop, know that a portion of the proceeds from anything you buy will help contribute to the creation of more positive content just like this. Real people, real life, real love. Until next time, I've been Kevin with the Shared Heart Experiment. Be good to each other. Thanks for watching.